Sometimes I feel like every song I want to play has that one bit that's too hard for me. That one little phrase I can't get my fingers around. But I embrace that. I love to break it down, look at what's causing that blockage and what I can do to get around that. And look, it may involve rearranging or even losing a couple of notes, which might sound criminal, but I'm never going to be a Van Halen or a Vai or a Pass or a Kath or even a Geordie Greep. But I've got to play to my strengths. So to put it in a less negative light, it's like sprinkling a bit of me into my performance of that song. So one of my students is working on Answers.
De antwoorden zijn altijd al aanwezig.
Of Steve Vai's Passion and Warfare, released in 1990. And he came to me yesterday and asked for some help with the insane tapping riff that occurs at about a minute 22. Now, as it happens, I bought this book back then because I love that album. Absolutely adored it. Now, the first thing that makes this really tricky is that the song's tempo is 214 beats per minute. And the tapping passage is mostly 16th notes. That's 4 notes per beat. So hang on, what's that? So 214 divided by 60 seconds times 4 notes, that's over 14 notes per second. 14 notes in a second. That's what he's playing for those 4 bars. So that's challenge number 1. I'll talk about what we can do about that in just a moment. So interestingly, when I open this up to look at the phrase in the book, I'd been working on this exact run on the 30th of April 1998, 27 years ago last week, and I got it up to 144 BPM. It doesn't look like I continued annotating with any updates, so... Anyway, this is the run. So my process with something like this is to have a close look at what the hurdles might be. What are those points that aren't natural for me, that make it tricky? And the first one that jumps out, well, the tempo. The second one that jumps out, there's one phrase that's an 8th note triplet rather than 16th notes. So that means in amongst that ridiculous flurry of notes, Steve slowed down just for one beat, just by one note. So there's 3 notes on that beat instead of 4. So that's the first thing I'd look at removing, because there's no way I'm going to be able to, at that speed, change gears. So interestingly, the part that features the triplet is amongst a group of phrases of 5, where Steve is playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that last one is 4 instead of 5. So all I did was added the 5th note to that last phrase, which means there's my missing note. Now they're all groups of 4. So we can play the entire thing now as 16th notes with that tiny, tiny adjustment. Personally, that would help me a lot. That's one of the big hurdles out of the way, right out of the gate. And by doing that, I found that I could immediately get it back up to 144, like 27 years ago, and even higher. So simply by adding a note, which seems odd. There was already too many notes in this thing. I've added one more. It's made it easier. I want to get to the simplest version of this, so I'm just going to quickly say you've got to learn the pattern inside out. But this video is not about that. But just quickly, if you watched my channel before, you would have heard me say this many times. My method for creating that muscle memory is to play it stupidly slow with a really high number of reps. Over and over and over, at a pace where you can't make the mistake, at a pace where you've got the time to let your body relax, your mind relax, so that you're not stuck thinking, oh, the tricky part of the song. What you want to think is, I can do this, this is easy. So the other thing that may present as a hurdle is that Steve's tapping in this crosses the beat. So even though he's playing even groups of 16th notes, he's tapping them in groups of 3 and 5. So the first part is all 3s. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So if you're in the habit of going 1, tapping on the downbeats, that could be a hurdle. So it might be worthwhile, after you've learnt the whole phrase, to practice just the tapped notes. So hitting them on like 1, 2, 3, 4. That sort of thing, to get used to that. Da, ba, 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 that feel that he's playing with. Now I want to get to the only way that I think I would be able to achieve this with any level of confidence, which is I'm going to have to take out some of the notes. There's no way I'm going to get 14 notes per second happening confidently enough to get up and perform it in front of people. Not after 27 years of trying. So I'm going to have a look at the phrase and assess whether I can perhaps rewrite it in eighth note triplets. So that's removing one of every 4 notes. So that's 214 BPM divided by 60 seconds times 3 instead of 4. So it's only 10 notes per second, or 10.7, it's nearly 11. But that might be more achievable. This whole thing is just a B major scale. There's no notes outside of the scale. So Steve's probably just done a flurry of notes. His knowledge of the neck is such that he wouldn't have composed this run. He would have improvised it and then gone, that's cool, I'll write that into the song. So let's try it as triplets. Now that does 2 things. It slows it down, but it also means that I'm now tapping evenly on the beats. So instead of going 1 E and a, 2 E and a, I'm going 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a, da, da. It's simple. So immediately I can get that up to 200 BPM and get through it. I mean, that still sounds really impressive. It's still a great run. It gets us from the same starting point to the same end point in the same amount of time, uses all the notes in there. So our easiest solution is to strip out 1 out of every 4 notes, giving us triplets, slowing the whole thing down. Still sounds pretty cool. But what I noticed while I was putting this together is that I could get those groups of 3s up to tempo. We do a lot of tapping in 3s. It's a really common thing. So that wasn't actually impossible to get those up to the 14 notes per minute target. But the 5s are what really throw me off. And that's because we use 5s a lot less regularly, and their movement across a group of 4 it seems more random than 3/4, which we hear all the time. So what if we just change it slightly so that those groups of 5s are just groups of 4, and that each one starts on a downbeat. So there's 16th notes with the first of every 4 on a downbeat. So instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what if I leave off that last hammer on and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that leaves us with triplets at the end. There's an extra note at the end. That works really good because the triplets at the end slow down just enough for me to find my feet, because that's where there's more movement laterally and across the strings. Now, I only just thought of that half an hour ago and I've already got it up to speed. So there's our answer. Go try it like that. Alright, you can find printable tabs for all my lessons over on my Patreon, where if you can find it in your heart to spare me a few dollars, you can also allow me to sit here a bit longer each week and try and answer your queries and help you out.